Since the end of the last eruption of the Krýsuvík volcanic system in August, we are seeing lots of earthquakes in the area of the Reykjanes Peninsula of Iceland. Many of them are concentrated around this lake, which we call Reservoir, and that is forming along a series of the transform and extension faults that divide the boundary between the Eurasia and North America. The pulling apart of the land in this area create this extension and transferring the movement through those transform faults, the top parts at a shallower angle. And most of it at the moment are concentrated in the Krýsuvík area. And we can see in the depth model of these earthquakes, they're concentrated around the depth of the 7 to 5 or 4 kilometers. This is the area earthquakes are happening. Earthquakes are practically shatter or fracture zones, creating voids and fractures and pulverizing rocks, creating pathways practically for any kind of fluid that can flow there. It can be water, brine, or even magma. In this case, in this area, if you have a magma reservoir at the depth of the 12 kilometer, which is in the case in the Krýsuvík, that can feed these shallower reservoirs, which are formed by these earthquakes, and create a shallow magma reservoir. We have it in the Krýsuvík volcanic system, where this shallower reservoir, like an aquifer, fills up and every now and then erupts as a volcano in this area, as a fissure eruption, actually, I should say. For example, in the Krýsuvík, we had it in the Reservoir. This is happening for the last 3 years, and we are seeing it here. There is a possibility we are seeing formation of this kind of reservoir for the magma, pulverized and fractured zone at a depth that can form a reservoir in the Krýsuvík area. This area is, of course, a volcanic system. Already we had eruption there, and there are lava fields associated to that, which extend for 50 kilometers, even approaching the town of the Reykjavík, the capital of the Iceland. This is a cartoon which shows what I have talked about in this area. And the extension, as we know, is happening in this fashion, that one eruption in one area, for example here, as you see in the lava flow marked, that's, for example, Krýsuvík, eventually will lead to eruption in the adjacent area, which is this purple area in this map, and create another volcanic system. The Krýsuvík may cease to erupt, but the Krýsuvík eventually will start and take over. As the eruption gets more difficult in the Krýsuvík building its reservoir will be the next one to erupt. It may happen anytime next year, within 2-3 years, if we are lucky to witness this, or we should say we are unlucky. At the moment, we are seeing the building up of the magma reservoir without actually magma being inside it. This is just a reservoir, meaning a shattered zone of fractures, like the aquifers for water, where any liquid can actually gather in that area. And we are waiting for that just to see what happens. I have a video about the situation and what is going to happen in this area, or what is happening, I should say. Please watch that also, which complements what I've said here. We have a series of earthquakes, about 17 of them, concentrated in a small area in the Reykjanes Peninsula of Iceland, around the lake Reservoir. And as you can see here, the timing was interesting just a few minutes ago, and the concentration of them in a certain time. And that was it. When we look at the data closely, we see the depth of them is interesting. I have marked them here. You can see the depth of the 5 to 7 kilometers, and the magnitude is written here. They're quite small, and when we plot them on a chart in 3 dimensions, you can see that they are restricted to a depth of the 7 to 5 kilometers, magnitude relatively bigger compared to what we have in this area, and in that area we don't have any earthquakes at the moment that is as big as that, although we have the Sortsengi swarm rising gradually in the middle. You can see that, and the location of them indicates these are related to the Krýsuvík volcanic system, a nasty big volcanic system. When the movement in this peninsula happens, the Krýsuvík and the adjacent volcanic systems, the fault lines, they have to accommodate this. Through the transform faults, as you see here, and this is the jagged line of the transform fault and the normal faults. Transform faults are those ones in the black. I've marked them, the movements of them in the Eurasia and the North America. Eurasia is toward the right. When they pull apart like that, the earthquake happens. And this is the exact definition of this kind of, rupture. When such a thing happens, deep in the earth, these blocks of the rock, these slivers of the rock, down to the mantle of the earth, softened at the depth, of course, create these sudden jerky movements. We know they are not related to the magma movement, because when we look at the GPS data for this area, this is Krýsuvík data, you cannot see any change in the GPS data due to the accumulation and rising of the ground due to the accumulation of the magma. Adjacent station also doesn't show anything like that. These are the definition of the word tectonic, and this is what we see here. Sudden, jerky movement which creates rupture and breaking apart of the earth crust. That is tectonic. This is the definition of the rupture, breaking or bursting suddenly. And this is the AI image created when you describe it. Such a thing, something like that. Of course, at the depth, no gap between them. But that is a tectonic rupture of the Krýsuvík to accommodate the movement for the peninsula.